Fort Jesus Warriors Club, Faith Hostile, MVITA City. I'm going to talk about the city of war. It used to be a city of war called MVITA City. At first it was called Kongwa. Then the name went to MVITA. Then the name went to MOMBASA. And then it became known as MOMBASA. And then it became known as MOMBASA. It means a city of war, MVITA or MOMBASA. It is an old city. It has thrived for almost 800 years or more on the East African coast of Kenya. A beautiful city. A city of beautiful beaches, beautiful hotels, and a city of different ethnicities. By around 1370, the city was a thriving city on the East African coast, and the natives of that city were a Bantu tribe called Wangozi, who later intermarried with the Arab traders from Oman and the Arab countries, producing a tribe called Kiswahili. So the Swahili language is the one that we use in East Africa, because there were intermarriages across the East African coast. This city, when it began, it had Arab traders who would go in the inside to do trade, and they intermarried with the neighboring tribes. So basically it was an Islamic city. The religion of Islam was the predominant religion until around 1498, when Vasco da Gama passed by going to India, and the Portuguese came and put up Fort Jesus. With the building of Fort Jesus, there were continuous wars, and that is the time when the country of Oman had carved an empire. All the coastal regions up to around Mozambique, they were part of that sultanate, Omani, and the capital of Oman that time was in Zanzibar, which is in Tanzania. So that was the capital of Oman. People from Oman, when you travel down, always remember your capital was on the East African coast. And Mombasa thrived well, but with lots of wars. There was this fort. It was a major port on the trade route to India, the route to spices and all things that were destined to Europe. So they would come through Mombasa, then go down to South Africa, Cape of Good Hope, then other side of West Africa until Europe. With the continuous wars, the people of the coast realized that warfare was not beneficial. So they decided to think of ways that would be able to vent down their anger without getting physical. So They strengthened the language that they were using to have heavy, what do I call it? This is phonetics. And this is the way they would vent out their anger. Talk and talk and talk and talk until all your anger is vented out. And then after talking, even if you've quarreled with somebody, invite him or her for a cup of coffee. And they will make very concentrated coffee, which they still do now, called kahawa chungu or kahawa tungu. Then you take the coffee. If you felt offended, then there was tomorrow. We will all have another session of a verbal war. The ladies developed kind of clothings they tie around the body, around the waist. They call them kanga. And what they would do, they would write a message or pick a message. The clothes mostly have printed messages in Kiswahili. So if you had a bond to break with somebody, you would tie on that kanga. That is for the women. And when you go out doing your things, your activities, if somebody knew you're on the wrong side or on the good side, they would look at that message on the kanga and would know what you're communicating. And because many women had kangas in their houses with different messages, then if one wanted to answer, she would also get into a house, tie on a kanga with a different message. So they became mistresses of total communication. The men became masters of verbal war, but you don't fight physically. And after the war, you make up. So it became a very peaceful town, as being one of the most peaceful towns. And people would vent their anger. There are times even when people are talking, you may think they are going to end up in fist fights. And you realize after that, nothing happens. They are friends again. Talking, fighting one another for a cup of tea, that thing is forgotten. So it happened that there was a time when I came from Nakuru and I was still having my stresses. And within that stressful time, when things are against you, mostly people fast if you're a Christian. So I would fast at times and pray, and God will take care of everything. There's a time I fasted during, it was almost close to the Muslims fasting, but I delayed doing some other things. So I started my fasting around 10 days earlier. So they started theirs later, but my 40 days tallied before their 40 days. So I finished mine before they could finish theirs. And there was a strange happening. I'd never thought this could happen. I fasted as a Christian. Many of the answers and activities I got came from the Quran, the mixture of the Bible. It was surprising. It's only fortunate that I know a bit of the Quran, so I could be able to understand things that were happening in that country, in this country that time, were shown to me from, is it the book of Hadith? Where you have these people who will be there during the last days. Is it? Yeah. So it showed me that the evil people that will come during the last days, and the animals that will come towards the last days, when the Messiah, that is still the same Messiah, will come for intervention. But it did not show me in that light. It showed me in the light of what was happening politically within the country. And the interpretations went with every step of everything that was happening within my country. But as it was happening also, it showed me certain things that would happen. And I didn't take them seriously, but I've seen them happen in places like the Middle East. So I came to realize that the message that was being given is that we should emulate the MVITA way of solving things. We've seen countries waging wars, others trying to annihilate others, there have been serious things going on. But the message that was being sent across was, can we be able to vent out our anger the way the MOMBASA people, the way the MVITA people do? Instead of sending out our soldiers to the boundaries, if it could be possible, we would have sessions to vent out what is ailing us. Talk out everything on the table, whichever side that takes it angrily or whatever, vent it out that time. If you have not finished, get back to the negotiating tables again. That would help the world to be a more peaceful place, a better place for us to live in. I was shown the MVITA example, the MOMBASA example, to disseminate to the rest of the world, those who will be interested to listen to it, because messages like this are for people who are willing to listen. But the idea was the MOMBASA system, the communication system, would be the best way to solve the crisis that we have worldwide. Every small thing, warfare. Put the soldiers on the borders, call the big ships, fly the fast planes. There are other solutions. That was the thing that I was being given for my country. Those were the things that I was being given for other parts of the world. I didn't know I would be trying to talk to everybody in the world on this thing. But here I am talking. It has been during a time of crisis, and all these things were happening during my severe crisis. That time the crisis was very severe. I didn't think I would be given a message to disseminate. And to those who are willing to listen, the MOMBASA way, the MVITA way is the way to go. Let's vent our angers on the negotiation tables, not in battlefield. That is my message to those who are willing to listen. My message to my country, my message to other places, my message to the rest of the world. The thing is, we should take conversation, negotiations, understanding, sitting in conference tables instead of going to the war field. I know it's a tall order for many of the countries that think everything will be solved by warfare, but by God's grace and by faith, if we are able to embrace that, it will make a big difference in the world, a big difference to ourselves. That is the message I'm giving. That is my take for now. Let's do things the MVITA way, the Fort Jesus way, the Mombasa way. Do everything peacefully without engaging physically. Thank you.